We're going to do our top 10 sketches of the year. I should just mention we didn't include monologues and we didn't include weekend updates. Am I correct there?
Yeah, even if I'd included them, they weren't making the list.
But we did include commercials that appeared during Weekend Update, if that makes sense. All right, Matt, what's your number 10?
Jaws 2. Love Jaws 2. Classic highlight reel SNL. One of the things I saw as a kid that turned me onto the show. Love Chevy's voice when he's just saying shit like Andy Graham. Andy Graham. Yeah, it cracks me up. It's absurd. It's stupid. Yeah. But they sell it so well. They got the music. They got the big stupid shark. I really think this is classic SNL. Let me be specific. I know they did this a few times throughout the season, and while it was always funny, I'm talking number one. Jaws 2, the first time was the best. I think they called the next one Jaws 3, actually. This is obviously before the sequels in the 80s.
Yeah. Number 10 for me was Life or Follies with Garrett's Gonna Get Me a Shotgun.
Oh, that's a good one. I kind of forgot about that one. I don't think it would have made my top 10, but that was really good.
Well, it comes down to, in that one, I think Peter Cook and Garrett Morris and just the effort they put into the whole set. And I remember I found Chevy rather stupid in that one, and Belushi as well. But I think, there's enough in there that it made my top 10 without a question. Yeah.
My number 9, Dominatrix Cleaning Service.
Wow, not even on my radar.
Listen, I'm not going to be out here and pretend that the costumes did not draw my attention specifically to the sketch, okay? But I would not rate something number 9 because of a hot girl. There's hot girls all over the internet. I don't need a hot girl to like a Saturday Night Live sketch. It's nice. Anyway, I really thought this was an amazing extension of what Jane Curtin can do, and I really think she's very talented. And I thought Gilda played the fucking clueless person. Gilda plays clueless really well.
Yeah,
with her, she's got those big doe eyes, like, well, I don't know. And just the chemistry between them, I thought was great, and I thought it was it was really unique. That was my number 9.
My number 9, I went with a Gary Weiss film. And it was Taylor Mead talking about his cat.
That was good.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. I wasn't sure if we were going to add the Gary Weiss films to this, or even the Albert Brooks films, if you were so inclined. But this one, this Taylor Mead one, I loved it. Yeah, really loved it.
That was really good. My number 8, Word Association.
Yeah, there was a sketch from that episode on my list, but it wasn't that one.
I feel I should mention that sometimes the cult status of a sketch, I was influenced.
Yeah.
I admit it. Probably for Jaws 2, and certainly for this one. Yeah, but I also just thought, despite all the hubbub, I thought Chevy Chase was really good in it.
Mm-hmm.
He was really buttoned down. He wasn't like the same kind of goofy, handsome Chevy Chase. I thought he added a lot that is not really considered.
Pryor was stellar. It was well written, strong. It was an excellent sketch, to be honest with you. Yeah. But for some reason, I've slept on that one a lot. Maybe in the sense the cult status hurt it for me.
Yeah, I totally get that, because I feel like that about some things. Not this sketch in particular, but it's not cool to like something too popular. Let's be honest.
Yeah. But it's funny. I don't know if that influenced it in that way, or it was just like it's on such a high pedestal. Let's break it down to every bit of its minutia. And by all means, it probably should be on my top 10, but it just didn't make it this time. My number 8, and Sean, who hosted this one with us, would be rolling his eyes, but for me, it was the Bates School of Motel Management, where Norman Bates runs a school about running a motel. Just really liked it. The tech was great. The set was stellar. Good to see him poking fun at Norman Bates. He probably could have dug in his heels and said, I don't want to do that again. But I really enjoyed that one.
Keith, my number 7 is Norman Bates Hotel Management.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that works out perfectly. What a great sketch. I really appreciate when somebody shows up and doesn't want to do shit that makes them famous. I think they can go fuck themselves. If The Rock doesn't want to do a wrestling sketch, don't do Saturday Night Live. If
Yeah.
Christopher Lee doesn't want to play Dracula, don't do Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
You know, you're coming on a show that's a satirical show. Have a sense of humor. And I love Christopher Lee. It really hurts me to say that.
Just because you do it on TV, it's not canon. My number 7 was a sketch. It was short, but I loved it, and I thought it was absolutely awesome. Was Fondue for Namibia.
That's a good one.
I absolutely I thought it was great. My God, I laughed through that whole thing.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. And this is, I guess this will be the fun of the recap shows.
Yeah.
Is kind of rediscovering those lost clips. We were kind of talking before about does the iconography of a sketch could be decision influencing. I feel like that might be the case for my number 6, but I still really enjoyed it. My number 6 is The Offer to the Beatles.
Yeah,
I think it's really cool to see Lorne doing something. And Lorne's really good at when he's just out there being Lorne. I wouldn't, I don't think he could ever do anything else, but he plays his part so well. He was so serious. And it made me think of the rumors of John and Paul, whether it be the first one or the second one, knowing that they might have been watching, as urban legend is really cool. And I loved the behind the scenes humor. That really, I'm into that. My
number 6 is iconic. It's a Saturday Night Live sketch that gets a lot of replay and stuff like that, but it's Bassomatic. Thought it was great.
Best commercial parody of the season, hands down. Number 5 for me, a Gary Weiss film. Buck Henry talks toilet seats.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Weird. Buck Henry, really improv-y. I loved it. It was that gritty New York thing from the 70s, which I love. Buck Henry was just excellent in it, but it still had all those Gary Weiss vibes. Frig, man, I'm a big Buck Henry fan.
When Gary Weiss is really good, we're quite high on him as well. My number 5 was Felina cat food, where they made the casserole out of tuna and cat food, and they gave it to a woman at the grocery store. And
you like this more than Bassomatic?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what?
And
I guess it's true that we don't always agree.
This woman, because they didn't use a cast member, they didn't use cast members. I think that made the big difference for me. These were they were actors, but we didn't see them on the show, and this could have very easily been disguised as a regular commercial. The look on her face was when he was explaining to her that he switched one was made with cat food.
It was really good.
Yeah, it did it for me.
You don't like my number 4, if I recall correctly, and I think it's the one that might surprise you the most. My number 4 was the Southern Hospitality Poker Game.
Yeah, I didn't like that one too much.
I thought Dan Aykroyd was hilarious in it and accepting any kind of abuse as long as it was with honor. It made me think of Klingons and Star Trek, but his voice and didn't matter how shitty things got for him. And Dan was just so good as, well, if it is with honor, sir. And you could have killed his children. Well, it was with honor. It was a big hit for me. It's like my sleeper hit of the season.
My number 4 was Talk Back with Frank Nolan. Buck Henry at the phones killed me.
Yeah, I love how it got more complicated as it went on.
And he got more controversial.
Number 3 for me is an Andy Kaufman bit. Old MacDonald with the audience members.
Yeah.
When them come up and sing Old MacDonald, I thought it was brilliant. Anybody that's ever seen my stand-up, all 12 of you, know I'm huge on audience interaction. So this really spoke to me in that regard. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was risky. Yeah, I just love the whole thing. Mighty Mouse is iconic. Is it funnier? I don't know. I laughed at this more. I loved Andy fucking wrangling the members and trying to keep them all on cue. It was chaos. I thought it was so much fun.
I didn't include Andy, but if I had, either this one or Mighty Mouse would have certainly made the list for sure. My number 3 was Garrett Morris sings Schubert.
That was a nice moment.
That was the best use of Chiron. It was a fantastic use of Garrett.
Easily the best Chiron of the season, you're right.
Yeah, show poking fun at itself and how it's kind of low rent and people will think it's PBS, but they had to put the Chiron up so people didn't. Yeah, just nailed it on so many levels, and it was great to see them. That was a gamble, to put somebody in a tuxedo in front of a blue screen with a cellist and a piano, and to me it paid off.
My number 2, no stranger to you, Talkback. His mania works for me on so many levels. I think I personally relate to that character, which is concerning, but also, yeah, I just felt it. I felt him. I felt that whole sketch, the escalating absurdity, the frustration. I think it was Buck Henry's best performance this episodes this season.
I think so too, yeah. My number 2 is probably my sleeper hit of the year, and it's one I even overlooked in past years watching the show. It's going to be a shock to you, Matt, and probably a shock to other people, but I love deadpan humor, and nothing was better at the deadpan humor than the Germasol ad with the giant deodorant for the house.
Wow, I'm really surprised you picked that as number 2, I must say. Having said that, it was kind of like how I talked about Jaws 2. It's just so fucking absurd.
Yeah.
And that really gives it appeal.
If you substituted the 5-foot roll-on deodorant with a, regular size can of spray, that is a real commercial,
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just that one little detail, and the women, it was Jane and Gilda and Lorraine, were just so deadpan.
Yeah, and they were really good.
They were fucking around with a 5-foot deodorant. So I'm assuming our number 1 is the same, but I'm interested to hear what your 1 is.
It's not. I thought you would have known my number 1. It requires the whole bass.
Okay, there you go.
Was the best thing of the season. I did not laugh at anything harder. I would not watch anything as repeatedly. Dan Aykroyd is chaotic and brilliant. Lorraine Newman as the, that's good bass. She's perfect. And the whole thing just feels like it's ready to just fly off the rails at any moment. When he's trying to hold down the blender and still get his lines out. And he's like his apex pitchman mode. He's got the voice, the energy. Lorraine, nothing this season was as good as that couple of minutes for me.
Wow.
Loved it.
All right. And my number 1 sketch was, and I'm surprised it didn't make your top 10, to be honest, was Nixon's Final Days.
Oh, you know how much I like that one, though.
Yeah.
Really
that was great political satire. It was just, it hit on every level. It made fun of Nixon, but it was also, whether intentionally or not, making fun of the people that were writing about Nixon at the time. 4 very strong impressions of public figures in there. Aykroyd was on fire, well crafted and long, but sustained it. And
absolutely,
really just an enjoyable sketch. Kind of sad at times, and they nailed it. They really nailed it. Very
ambitious too. Very ambitious thing to pull off. Like, it was long, and if I remember, there was a couple of scene changes. Was there not?
Yeah, they jumped back and forth between Nixon and Pat Nixon writing in the diary.
Very ambitious long sketch that they pulled off despite its absence in mine. I think because I tended to go for a little more iconic stuff, and certainly. I'm obviously a fan of absurdist humor. That's just the shit that speaks to me. But this was top shelf satire.